So, I'm going to share an encounter that I had that was kind of the fuel behind this message and that I've been praying over. And I had this encounter actually in the fall of 2019. So, I've been praying over it ever since, and I've been asking the Lord for the right time to share it. I've shared bits and pieces here and there. And just how do I articulate what I'm feeling in my spirit? Do you ever have that, like, I don't have the words yet? So, I'm just going to share this encounter, how I had it. So, it was a crazy morning here. We had had a lightning strike, and we didn't realize that the lightning strike affected our sound system until we got here on Sunday morning, and there was no sound. And the worship team was trying to, rehearse, and they weren't able to have any sound. And finally, the worship team just came to a place where, like, you know what? Sound or no sound, we're worshiping. And they were sharing that when I got here, and it really struck me. And as it turns out, the sound came back on. They were able to get it on, get it going, and so we were able to have worship like normal. But during that worship time, when it had been a battle to get there, I had this encounter. And in this encounter, it was like a movie played before my eyes. And I saw all these places in the world where I have worshiped. And I've worshiped in some crazy places. And I saw a lot of them. So I saw, we actually worshiped, we sat on the railroad tracks of Auschwitz concentration camp in Poland, and we worshiped. And we didn't go in there knowing we were going to do that, but the Lord led us to do that. And that's not a place that you would think that you're going to go in and worship, right? So I saw that. And then I saw also in Poland, we went into a cathedral that they said had 500 pounds of gold. Like, it was just this ornate, beautiful building. And of course, it's very quiet, and the priests are sitting way up high. And so we're being quiet, but we just felt like the Lord told us. Like, we sat down on the floor and we just worshiped with whisper voices. We were very quiet, but we sang and we worshiped. And when we got up to leave, the priest that was way up high looked at us and just nodded and smiled, like, thank you for doing that. And we were worshiping over that nation, and we were praying over that nation as we did it. And then I saw when we were locked in an apartment in Asia, where we had to do this whole crazy key pass-off thing, and we had to do this whole covert meeting because these people would be in danger. And so we're locked in this apartment for the whole day in this covert meeting in Asia, and we worshiped and we worshiped and we worshiped. And then I saw the bush of Africa, where I go every year, and where I've had crazy, crazy worship times, and how we've worshiped in the midst of witch doctors doing crazy things. We've worshiped literally with military and police surrounding us with guns. And one time, and I saw this in my vision as well, one time they were threatening to shut us down. We were actually in our little church on our little base in Mozambique, Africa, where I go. And they were coming in and threatening to shut us down. And Heidi, who leads this ministry, Heidi and I looked at each other at the same time and said, they can't stop our worship. And we just knew in that moment, it didn't matter if they shut us down. It didn't matter what they did. They couldn't stop our worship. And then I just saw in this encounter, churches where I've been, streets where I've been, parks where I've been, homes where I've been. And I just saw all these places where I've worshiped. And then that stopped, and I just felt like the Lord said, that worship was going to be significant in some new ways, and that there was a new worship movement emerging. And I felt to specifically focus on worship and what does this look like in the next season. That was fall of 2019. March 2020, COVID hits us. Lockdowns happened. June 2020, we started worship in the park. And honestly, when we started worship in the park, I didn't even connect it to the word. It was as I've been pondering and praying over this that I realized, oh, wow, that was a new worship movement emerging. That was a new focus on worship. That was a place we didn't know we'd be worshiping. And you don't normally worship there. You don't normally set up all this equipment and do all this worship in the park. It's not a normal thing, right? And so it started happening in unusual places, even here. And we have had our house of prayer going on Thursdays. But then I believe it was November 2020, we made one prayer set, our staff prayer set, public, open to public. So you can come in person or you can join online. It's Thursdays from 9 to 11. But I just realized as I was preparing for this that is also because we felt like our house of prayer was focused on worship. So it all flows together, right? We pray and we worship and we flow together. So we have musicians and we have prayer leaders up here and they flow together. And it's amazing. New songs are being birthed. We have other sessions that are not yet public, but Randy Peak and Linda Fagan are filling this room with worship also in the afternoon. And it is taking us to a deep place, you guys. I would encourage you to either come one day yourself in person or join online. It's really deep, but I just realized it went back to my encounter about worship. And God is really calling us to this place of worship.